Clue might be the most underrated popular movie of all time. Now, I know that's a strong statement, but I was in the same boat I know a lot of people were or are still in. Of course, I had played the board game growing up and I absolutely loved it. I've made references about Colonel Mustard. I've even tried to play real-life murder mystery games that take the exact Clue formula, but I had never seen the actual movie. And I say it's popular because the concept and characters are one of, if not the most well-known game/stories, but it's underrated because today I feel like no one talks about or has seen the 1985 film. And even more shocking now that I have seen it, audiences in 1985 did not like this movie. But before we get into it, make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and let me know in the comments below some shows or movies you'd like me to talk about as we move into 2024. Anyway, the other day, I finally watched Clue, and I love this movie. When Clue originally released in theaters in 1985, it was the first and one of the only movies adapted from a board game. And today the decision seems obvious as Clue has become a household name, but at the time it was met with a lot of hesitation from audiences. The film actually lost around $300,000 from its original $15 million budget, and many attribute this to the ending. The film has 3 different endings to emulate the board game's endless possibilities, but instead of the version of the movie we know now with all 3 endings playing back to back, if you went to see it in 1985, you only got one of the 3 endings. This means if you saw it on a Tuesday, one person was the killer, later that week it's a different one, and maybe you get the same ending the next time you saw it. You never knew which ending was real or which one you would get. And just imagine how fun that would be, one of the first and only interactive movie theater experiences, and the movie itself is thrilling and hilarious. And without the help of the internet, you'd be able to have your own version of the movie, discussing with friends which ending they think is real, which one you all like the most, and there was still room for more theories. This confused audience members to the point where, well, they just straight up didn't like it. I could only assume that because we were still in a place where any movie theater experience was kinda new, and especially because the movies at that time didn't require much thought or explanation, this concept was quite literally ahead of its time. Now, I'm not going to be one of those people who says cinema is dead and there's no good movies anymore, because that's just simply not true, but the idea of going to the movie theater is in a pretty dismal place. We do see glimpses of hope here and there with everyone rushing into the new Marvel superhero movie, but there's nothing new with these experiences. And I'm not even going to start with streaming services because I'd be a hypocrite if I said I didn't love the access and comfortability of watching titles at home. But there's nothing as of recent, to my knowledge, that has been as fun as when I watched Clue for the first time. Imagine if Knives Out, a very great murder mystery movie, had a theatrical release with multiple endings that alternated depending on the day or place you saw it. They just don't do it like this anymore. I was originally going to make a Clue Explained video, but not only would that feel pretty redundant, it would completely take away everything I just said about this movie and the endings. It's just something you have to see for yourself, because if I just straight up spoiled it, there wouldn't necessarily be a reason to watch it besides how funny and well written it is. So I'm just going to try and convince you to watch it. This movie feels like reverse satire, if that's even a thing. Because it's the first of its kind and also a heavily replicated format, a lot of the tropes are things we've seen before, but no one has accomplished this style like the original. The overly macho straight guy humor or the dark mysterious wealthy female archetype doesn't feel out of touch, rather it feels realistic. It doesn't feel like the 50s or the 80s or even modern, it's honestly timeless. It's not making fun of these characters, it's using their quirks and reactions to drive the comedy. Even though some of the humor is a little dated, we'll call it, this movie is downright hilarious. It's so dry and simple, but because of the absolutely perfect casting, the reactions from each character make for so many unforgettable moments. The multiple running gags somehow never get old, and the constant misdirection from scary to funny makes this movie fly by. Tim Curry absolutely shines as Wadsworth the butler, easily becoming my favorite character of the movie. And as he sets up the party, one by one, each guest arrives with individual styles and archetypes, but a common sense of confusion and suspicion. And from the get-go, you can tell everyone has something to hide. Each person received an anonymous letter, including Wadsworth, inviting them to this mansion in the middle of nowhere, and one could say curiosity drove them to this house, but it's their paranoia and guilt that brought them all here. As the dinner starts, the connections between the characters start to be revealed as everyone either lives in Washington, D.C. and or works for the government. And this common thread makes them think that there's something bigger at play, and especially the fact that the 7th guest, Mr. Body, has yet to arrive. But when he does, he instantly starts stirring it up. And right here, the movie turns into the board game as there's this looming threat that they can't leave. I mean, the front door's locked and Wadsworth has the key, but It's not impossible to get out. The characters are now just that, pieces of a game, not real people, and the stakes wouldn't seem as high without this veil of being trapped inside the situation. Everyone has had it by 20 minutes in, so Wadsworth goes ahead and spares them the mystery by telling them why they're actually here. Everyone is being blackmailed for various illegal activities, and Mr. Body is the one blackmailing them. Because blackmail is an illegal activity, Mr. Body, in turn, is being blackmailed as well. They could easily just hand him into the police for his actions, but this would in turn make all of their embarrassing and illegal past public. Would you rather pay the price of blackmail or humiliation? It's very much a what would you do in this situation, along with a which person would you be, which is always the most fun setup in a mystery movie. But now that you've got the setup, let's talk about what I think is the best part of the movie, the dialogue. The film feels like a play or even musical-like, the writing flows so smoothly, the movements feel like stage direction, and the timing is impeccable. People do not talk like this. It's kind of perfect dialogue. There's never a missed beat, and the short moments of silence are filled with amazing, I think it's called pantomime, acting without talking. It's almost cartoonish, but somehow never corny. Alright, now for those who have seen it, major spoiler warning if you haven't, let's talk about the 3 endings. I've watched this movie 3 times now, and I still can't decide which one I think is the real ending. I mean, I know the 3rd ending has the title card, "This is how it actually happened," and it's easily the most funny, but if we are following the board game, I think it's the first one. It makes sense for the movie version that everyone would be equally guilty, each killing a different secondary character, but that's not how Clue the game works. There's gotta be only one killer. And I love the way they use the killer as a separate character, and multiple pieces of evidence they use at the end are not reliably narrated, it's from everyone's perspective at once. But I think one killer stands out above the rest. Miss Scarlet, aka ending number 1. For starters, the character that talks to the maid right before she is killed sounds like a woman, and it's revealed that the maid worked for Scarlet at her brothel. Her always being directed by Scarlet works perfectly with that scene, almost like they set this whole thing up in a way. And then her motives, although not life or death like some of the others, seem somewhat realistic. Her job back home is to prey on the loneliness of men for money, and now she's preying on the fear and humiliation of the party members to make more money. Like she says, she's a capitalist, and if she can't get money from them, she'll just get more secrets to sell. Professor Plum has already been punished for his actions. Colonel Mustard doesn't seem like he has it in him, to be honest. I'd like to believe I can still trust Wadsworth because I like him so much. Mrs. White isn't going to be tried for murdering her husband. She would have been already. Miss Peacock also wouldn't get in trouble, rather it'd be her husband. And we know Mr. Green is good either way, and everyone else is dead. Miss Scarlet, just like she presents, is cold-blooded and does whatever she can for herself. She's in a house with multiple guilty men who would be looked at first in this scenario, and we know from multiple scenes that because of her looks and demeanor, she's someone who can get what she wants. She is quick to overpower other characters and never seems scared besides the one scene where she's in the room with a dead driver. I feel like everything points to her. Besides the fact that I love this movie and think all of you would have a great time watching this, I'm also still a little confused, I'll admit it. So I want you guys to watch it so we can come to some sort of answer. Do you guys think any of the 3 endings we saw is the true ending, or are there other possibilities? There's rumors that there was a 4th deleted ending they never put out. And without seeing the ending, who do you think could be the killer? No pun intended, but are there clues that I might have missed that you guys think prove a certain ending? Like the whole someone was missing from the kitchen scene, because I didn't see a missing character in that scene. Please let me know in the comments below and we could revisit this movie with a whole new perspective. And speaking of that, this movie is a great second watch once you know what to look for. But my only main critique is the answer isn't necessarily given to us, and yes, I know movies don't always do that, and this movie doesn't need an answer to still be entertaining and funny, but as an avid mystery lover and a serial Clue board game player, I would have loved some sort of resolve. But again, that's what makes this movie so fun. There's endless possibilities and room for interpretation, just like the game. That's why I thought it'd be the perfect movie to talk about on here with y'all, so let me know in the comments what you think if you have seen it, and if you haven't, make sure to add this 90-minute classic to the top of your watch list. And whenever you do watch it, please come back here and let us know what you think. As always, make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and we will be back soon with another video, and I'll see y'all later. Oh, real quick, if I do sound sick or nasally, I'm sorry, but this just happens every December. You know how it is.